Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order at 5 o'clock. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Golis, Mr. Vukotic,
Here.
Mr. Andrus,
Here.
Mr. Reed,
Here.
Chairman Rowe.
Okay, with that, we'll get started. This is normally a board of 5. You'll need 3 yes votes to get your waiver approved. You do have the option to hold off till the next meeting where there will be a panel of 5, but if you choose to go forward, you'll need all 3 yes votes for your request to be granted. You step up, well, we'll read it in. The only order of business is W-1706-23, waiver of ordinance 269-2001, section 1153.01D related to area exceptions. The location is 130, how do you say that? Lawai Road. The applicant owner is Christy Teets. So whoever's here to speak for this can step up to the podium, state their name, make sure they're signed in, and give us a little background on your request.
My name is John Stout. I'm Christy's fiance. Christy, I'm going to be doing the speaking tonight. She had surgery yesterday and is recovering, so I'm much better to stand here than she is. So just a little bit of background on this. Yeah, you've got my got the diagram there that was submitted. Want to install a 16 by 32 foot pool in the backyard directly off of the back patio there. I've got other measurements here and so forth as well. Back in June, I stopped by the city offices to the zoning office and asked what the requirements were for the pool. And I was told at the time, as long as I was so many feet from the property line. And they said it shouldn't be a problem, go ahead and, measure, make sure your pool's within that property line. And it meets all of the other requirements in terms of required fencing and so forth and on all that. So having said that, I selected a pool construction company, Hunt Pools, owner's Chad Hunt, and arranged for financing for the pool. Got that all in place and everything. Got the fence contractor out there. Made sure that was in line. Make sure I could afford that as well, and got the total cost of the project and so forth. Then we went ahead and identified we've got an invisible fence and all that kind of stuff in the way, which actually is not in the way, which is kind of nice, so that the dig would not interfere with any of that. Chad Hunt called the 811 line for the dig lines, got everything mapped out and everything, and then I could think he was in here a couple weeks ago, I believe, to request the permit. And unbeknownst to any of us, we were told that there was some strange requirement that had to be from the side of the water to the middle of Wynn Road, had to be 100 feet. And it's actually about 68 feet. So I'm here tonight requesting a variance of 32 feet. I did a little homework as well, because as many of you may know, there's a neighbor about 3 doors down at 148 Lawai, who recently put a pool in as well. And I went down and talked to them, and they basically didn't do anything in terms of a variance or anything like that. They went ahead and put it in. I believe they're somewhere about 72 feet from the middle of Wynn Road to the edge of the water. Don't quote me on that. But when I talked to them, they said no, they used a different company. Blue Dolphin came in, felt that they had a rapport with Oregon City a little bit. They were kind of proud of that because they didn't have any problems with the permit. Accomplished the dig, put the concrete around the pool, and there you go. So that's what I'm here for tonight. I do want to thank you, gentlemen, because I understand this was a special request that came in because of timing of the next meeting and so forth. So I do want to thank you for your time and consideration for listening tonight to this. And I think that's, I guess, one other thing. We have our president of the homeowners association here. I also, through the due diligence, spoke to Steve and made sure that's his signature up there on top of the layout. Made sure he approved of it, and he asked me a few questions at that, and went ahead and signed as the president of the homeowners association as well. So the I don't know if it matters, but I do have some other distances in case I know if there's been some questions. Distance from the pool to the back of the house, things like that. I don't know if you're interested in that. I do have them here if you'd like me to share.
If they're all within compliance, it's not a problem.
Okay. I
This is
believe they
just-
are.
Just strictly a setback
Yeah.
issue.
I believe they are.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board? Anybody else here to speak for or against the matter?
Thank you.
Yep. Just make sure that you're signed in and give us your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Steve Carrion. I'm the president of the HOA of Eden Park. I live at 5057 Dove Road. I'd been up and I'd met the new inspector general there, Steve, and he gave me some information about a different pool and in the subdivision. And when John came to me, I had gone through this and I had not seen anywhere in here about 100-foot setback on anything. Then I noticed tonight when I was sitting here that you're citing a different ordinance than the ones I got here. I got 115501, and you guys are citing 115301 Delta. So I was kind of in the dark until I seen that. So I really don't even know what that ordinance says as far as what the regulation is that they're violating. But as far as Eden Park's concerned, all our lots were buildable according to, or poolable according to the builder when he installed them and sold them. I'm sure there was some restriction somewhere along the way that may or may not have been discussed with potential homeowners or home buyers when they were buying the properties. But for the most part, we didn't have an issue with any of the pools going in as long as they're in-ground pools. And then, like John said, there's a pool directly up the street, like 3 doors away, that they have a permit. So Oregon was involved in the process of that pool being installed, and the question was not brought up then. And I know if it was an oversight on Oregon's part, that doesn't make it an oversight on everybody's part then. So I understand that, but we're here in support of them so that they can put the pool in and enjoy the property that they bought. And that's the only concern we have as the HOA. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just
Yes.
introduce myself. I'm Paul Roman. I'm the Director of Public Service. And the reason I'm here is I was reviewing a drainage permit for the pool. And as I was reviewing it, we had a hard time because the pool contractor believes that when they put the pool in, it'll drain across the sidewalk on Wynn. The problem is the Wynn Road sidewalk is a little higher than the yard. Their drainage will actually go south. And the problem with this property and the next 3 south is that they didn't provide enough fill to drain their backyards across the sidewalk into the swale between the sidewalk and Wynn Road. And that's a flaw. As to why that is, I don't know. And so I do need to know that even if you guys approve the exemption on the variance, there's still a drainage issue, and I think it can be worked out. I have spoken to your one neighbor to the south. That pool that went in a couple doors down, we looked at the drainage for that, and that was a permit that was approved. There is a storm sewer that goes from the neighborhood and that goes due west, crosses Wynn Road. The city put in a small yard basin so that it would drain several of these properties. Even though it doesn't do it 100%, it does help, okay? But at that time, I don't believe they got a variance for the setback. and that could be an oversight. But the other hat I wear, being the public service director, the reason you have a 100-foot setback is so that far in the future, if the city were to ever widen Wynn Road, make it a new state route, make it a highway, you don't want to make life harder for that administration at that time so that they're not buying homes or structures. So that's why you've always had this 100-foot setback on all your main roads. And unfortunately, with this setup, their hardship is that their backyard is on this main road with a sidewalk. And they probably weren't aware of that. I can tell you though, Wynn Road, it has Pearson Park across the street. That's well established. Here you have a subdivision on the east side, well established. All the utilities in Wynn Road are in place. I can't foresee Wynn Road being widened. I can't foresee, there may be a need of maybe widening the right of way for a utility, but nothing to that degree where you'd need a 100-foot setback. And it is wise to use the pool to the south to say, wait a minute, look at where they're at, you know. And so quite honestly, from our point of view, as long as their pool doesn't encroach any more than that pool to the south, public service would not have an issue with you guys granting that exemption, all right? There are homes just south of the old fire station. The entire home is in the setback. So to be fair, you know, you'd be buying homes if you really want to widen Wynn Road to that degree. So we can't see that in our near future. Doesn't mean it wouldn't happen, and you really don't want structures in something where you may acquire right away later on. I just don't think it'll ever be to that degree. So there's that. But there is a drainage issue separate from your decision. And, you know, I think that can be worked out. It is the 4 property owners working together for drainage, and there's 2 property owners that aren't here. But things are set up so that you could run a tile and easily serve these yards. That's separate, but that's why I showed up, in case drainage came up as an issue.
But would not that fall back on the builder?
Well,
To come and make that correct as far as drainage?
And you know what, and I think you could make that argument, but I think by the time, I think here's the thing. You set a sidewalk at a particular elevation, you set a home at a particular elevation. Other than the drainage plan, which will show how the roads drain, everything else, it doesn't show necessarily that it's a linear path from your back door to that sidewalk. It could go up, it could go down. I think the builders thought there was an easement or something already, a collection point for drainage in the backyard in the back of this sidewalk, which didn't exist. Now, so yeah, everyone could put their money together and go after the builder. Well, and again, as much as you could do all that, I'm telling you, the cost of a tile and just doing it as a group project would be a lot cheaper, is all I'm saying.
And it's actually a very rare situation to have a full sidewalk in the back of your house.
Yeah,
And looking for a backyard setback minimum, it's usually the front
Yeah,
that we're dealing with.
From my experience with the BZA, there really should be a hardship when you ask for an exemption. To me, the hardship here is you have a main road in your backyard with a sidewalk. And actually for your property, you have 3 frontages, by the way. You know, that itself is a hardship.
Right.
It may not be viewed as a hardship, but it's not the same as being just a single lot in a subdivision, is all I'm saying.
Well, thank you for that. We appreciate it. With that, I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept W-1706-23 as submitted.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Andrus,
Yes.
Mr. Vukitic,
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
Yes. Okay, you're all set. Follow up with the building department and I guess address the drainage issue.
Just want to thank you for, again, for considering the variation request and your time tonight. I know it takes out of your family enjoyment and your personal lives. I sat there many a times. I was on Perrysburg zoning as well. So Yeah, and I understand your guys' situations.